Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode number 55. Can't believe it. It's been a great run so far this year in 2018. And today we will be bringing you a holiday recap about my travels, and I'm also curious to hear about my amazing co-host Jared's Christmas and also New Year's Eve plans. And so should be an exciting episode today. And I really hope that all of our listeners out there that have had a good 2018. Don't even know what year it is anymore. It's been that kind of year. What can I say? And we wish you at the Untranslatable Podcast lots of fame, fortune, and good luck. And hope everyone's doing well. Without further ado, what's going on, Jared?
Hello, and good tidings to all. I'm not fully sure what that means, but I think that's sang in one of the few New Year's songs that exist. Let nature's bring foilgaki and good tidings. Okay. Maybe I got the cadence a little off, but I think you all know what I mean.
I think you got it.
Have a good New Year. Try to improve something in yourself or the world. Mostly start with yourself, actually. I take that back. Try to improve something in yourself, and that goes for me too. One thing you can.
Oh, me too, without a doubt.
One thing you can do to improve your life is follow the Untranslatable Podcast on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. Check it out, or you could follow us on Instagram, the Untranslatable Podcast. Like always, it's on and popping. I mean, we never aren't on and popping on Instagram, but just so you know,
it's true.
The train is continuing to roll along of popping.
That's right.
Poppin'.
That's right.
Or if you want, you can email us at the untranslatable at. I'm nervous that I'm going to do that. Email us at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. No the. Or if you want to spread a little love, you can send us a 5-star review.
I like that drop.
On Stitcher and iTunes. Today's new drop day.
Nice. Liking it. Bringing in some new drops for the upcoming new year.
Spread a little love.
Can't go wrong with that. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, Jared, it's been a little bit since I've seen your beautiful face and since I've talked to you. What's been going on, buddy?
I've never thought I'd be ready for work. This has been an exercise in time management and exercise in really taking my laziness to the limits. You know, I mentioned the pizza
nice.
and the
right.
I didn't know that was just the beginning. I barely left the house in 2 days. It's just been it gets too much free time, you know? And I think it gets glorified in my head to, not going to work and stuff like that, which is great. Mm-hmm. And as it gets closer to work time, I'm like, all right, I got to get back into this. And I wonder what it's like. I'm nervous for the first couple of days back. Luckily, New Year's is on a Wednesday. Or that's Wednesday is the 2nd, I believe. So that's my first day back to work. And the good news is it's half a week. So I'll ease into it. Then have the normal weekend acclimate. And then I'll be fresh as a goddamn newly polished shoe.
Nice.
I don't know. I really hope that's what I'm hoping for. Because, they always say that the best way to manage your your body is starting with sleep, and that you should always keep a consistent sleep schedule, even if you're not going to work or whatever. I haven't been following that.
I was just gonna ask you if you've been following that.
I've been waking up at the time I go to bed varies anywhere from 10 p.m. to 4 in the morning, somewhere in between that window.
That's a pretty big window right there. That's for sure.
And so when I go to bed early, what I've noticed is that I wake up at early, meaning 11 midnight. That's early these days. I wake up at around 5 or 6, and at first I think, why can't I do this? Why can't I do this when I'm actually working?
Right.
And I think, well, I'm obviously not going to get up at this hour. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I'm on vacation. So then I inevitably fall back asleep until 11, 10:30, 11. Then it switches to, what are you doing, man? Come on.
Right.
I bought
That's
breakfast
fair.
foods, plans to make breakfast. I'm like, I'm gonna make freaking eggs and I mean I can, but I had 2, but I do that all the time.
So no, just easy Pop-Tarts in the morning for breakfast on vacation?
Pop-Tarts are not actual breakfast foods. Like, those are more eaten times of low rather than... those are more emotional decisions rather than...
They're definitely not nutritional decisions.
And the two things I have to rely on me to carry me through this rough period is the Untranslatable podcast and my buddy Chad and delivery food. And today...
Nice.
Chad delayed the podcast on me by a pretty measurable amount of time, and I ordered food from Grubhub, never showed up.
What?
I was like, shit, I got a podcast at 4. I better have my food ready. And so this was like, right. 1:30 I ordered it. And the guy called me around 2, and or a little after 2, 2:30, 2:10, 2:15. He's like, hey, I'm here. I got your food. I was like, all right, I'll be right out. And I walked out. I looked around. And I was like, huh. So maybe what I should have done was call him at that moment. But what I did do was nothing. And I thought, oh, maybe he said he was just leaving the place and he's on the way. But then I thought, well, if he's just leaving it, and then so I sat around and continued on dilly-dallying like I've been doing for the past week and a half.
Right.
And after like an hour, like another hour, which would have been about an hour and a half, I'm like, huh. He called me, and so that means he's at least on his way, and it's been an hour and a half. He's not that far away. And
right. What'd you order?
Indian food. And so I...
oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It would have been if it showed up, Chad. And so I complained to Grubhub, and they said, and I said, I ordered this blah, 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 hour, this long ago, and they haven't showed up. And forever, they're like, oh, they're contacting us. And they're like, oh. And I was like, so what's the... And they kind of were delaying me. And I was like, what's the deal? Like, they got us on hold. I was like, well, can I just get a refund? Because I got a podcast to do at 4.
Right.
My buddy needs me at 4. I keep saying 4, guys, because after my Indian food got delayed, then Chad texted me and said, like, hey.
Delayed.
Also, it's 4:30.
As usual.
It wasn't 4. I'm exaggerating.
Right.
But anyway, so the dude called me back, the dude that delivered it, because I'm sure he got a call from Grubhub. And he was like, hey, I dropped off the food at blah, blah, blah address. And I was like, yeah, that's not my address. And he's like, do you live in an apartment? And I was like, not really. And I was like, well, that's not the point, though. You just said that address before. That's not my address. And and he's like, oh, I left it at the front desk. He's like, do you have a front desk? I was like, I don't have a front desk. There's no front desk. I'm the front desk.
Oh, God.
I'm sitting at my front desk waiting for you, which is my kitchen table.
That needs to be on a T-shirt right there. I am the front desk.
Yeah, I could imagine Samuel L. Jackson saying that. I am the front desk, motherfucker.
Right.
And so he replied. He was just like, oh, fuck. Then it was just a couple seconds of silence, and he just hung up. And that was the last we heard from the delivery guy. Because I think that's at the point he's like, oh, I fucked up, and I'm not going to go back. And at that point, I don't want it anyway.
Go back to the front desk.
It's probably so cold that it's frozen at this point. The thought.
Right.
So I had actually Brenner or brunch. What do you call it when it's at 3:00? I think it's a mixture of all three of them.
Probably
dinner at like 3:30 of eggs and bacon. It was pathetic. But it's all pathetic.
Sounds pretty good though. I'd be.
Everyone's leaving me. The two things I thought I had to depend on.
Right. That's crazy. That guy's crazy.
Are you good? How does it feel to be home? You're back from Vienna.
Dude, it's good. I love traveling, but there's nothing better than getting back here. I did something a little out of the ordinary. Right when I got back, I unpacked my suitcase.
Wow.
Do you ever do that? I never do that.
Hell no.
Right?
No, I haven't done that since I lived at home with my parents. Well, I probably still didn't do it because it would probably still be them like coming into my room like 4 times, being like, "Unpack your freaking suitcase."
Right.
Yeah. No, I never do that.
So that was kind of weird.
Good for you.
And it was also
You're
nice
adults.
because, right. Right. Thank you. So that was kind of a good feeling. Although, honestly, right after I finished unpacking my clothes from my suitcase and a couple of the little things I got, I was kind of like, all right, well, I'm good. So I just laid in my bed for like 20 minutes scrolling through Facebook and Instagram, not doing anything.
I've done that a few times over these past couple of days just because I had nothing else to do. Literally just lied in bed and scrolled through my phone for like 45 minutes. I'm like, all right, back to find something new to do and play piano or something.
Nice. Yeah, it's been good
Make
to be
new
back,
drops.
though. My
you
parents...
notice new drop days become
Oh,
been
for
more and
sure.
more frequent since the holidays.
I'm good with it. I'm good with it. We need to have more holidays. That's all I'm saying. But it's nice, it's nice to show my parents around, where I live. I showed them my school yesterday. I showed them around the Old Town Square, which is really beautiful. Of course, my mom was disappointed because the Christmas markets are not there anymore.
Did they break those things down pretty quickly?
Yeah. I think they were down on the 24th or 25th here in Chomutov.
Okay. Oh,
And
I was thinking of
most
Vienna
places
first.
in Vienna Vienna, they were also packing them up. Some of them up on the 23rd, 24th. A few of the more touristy ones, I think, are open all the way till January 5th or 6th.
Right, but a lot of those people also that are running these Christmas markets or whatever want to go home to their own families for Christmas, I would assume, not be working.
I would
Like,
also
this is the point of
assume,
Christmas market, so we don't have to work on Christmas.
Right, exactly. You can get all your gifts and your knickknacks and your trinkets right at the markets, along with some tasty food. But it was nice. And I mean, the other thing is, it's a little stressful traveling with your parents when you have 3 big suitcases. As you pointed out in our last episode, Jared, of course, all of us overpacked. Of course.
Family tradition.
Right. I should have, honestly, man, I should have just brought my backpack because my parents brought me some clothes from the States, and we had a laundry machine in both of our apartments we stayed in. Honestly, dude, I probably could have gotten away with just I have a big travel backpack I brought with me. You've seen the pictures. Right. Our listeners have probably seen
You've
the pictures
mentioned
too
it, the
on our
Osprey.
Insta. Yeah, that's the bag to go with. And my dad ordered one too, and he's been using that while he's been here.
And how nice would
so
that?
It's been really good.
How nice would that have been to spend your entire trip in Vienna essentially wearing new clothes? Just like,
oh, dude, I would have been
what
fresh.
am I going to whip out today? What kind of new?
Well, I kind of did
am I gonna whip out today?
Because they're at least it's weird, dude. When I go to H&M in the Czech Republic, I only find a few things on sale. And then I go to Dresden or I go to Vienna, and half of the store is on sale.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Every H&M I've been to, everything's always on sale.
Right. So I ended up getting a couple button downs. Right.
Like
for
Kohl's.
sure. And so I ended up. It's better than Kohl's in my opinion.
Well, I think
at least the sales are
quality
cheaper.
better at Kohl's. I feel like I'd have to go Kohl's on that
Yeah,
one.
probably. Yeah, I'd agree.
Seems
with
like
you.
they have higher standards.
Like I got. Right. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like I got a couple of
it's cheap already.
really nice button downs. Each of them were like €6 a pop, I think. I think one of them was like a jean button down that was maybe €9. But it was really cheap, so I got to bust out some new threads in Austria, which was nice.
Cool.
I have this new weird rule now where for the most part, if I'm going out, especially when I say going out, I don't mean going out to a bar or a club. I just mean leaving the house. I'm trying to rock something with a collar.
Yeah.
Just because people in Europe tend to dress a little nicer.
Yeah. I
you
think
know?
that's a good rule to have.
Yeah. So look good, feel good.
And also,
you know?
like I have a selection of collared shirts that I'd say are applicable to any situation. Like it's not like
nice.
it's not like these are collar and cufflink shirts, but they're I like shirts that I could wear at work, or I could wear out somewhere. People aren't like, "Whoa, look at you!" What's the occasion?
Pulled up the tux. Right.
That is a very nice tux.
That's the
by
same-
the way. Check out our Instagram
thank
to see
you.
that tux.
That's right. Well, it's funny though. I always have in the back of my head whenever I go find new clothes, in the back of my mind, I'm like, could I wear this while I'm teaching?
Yeah.
And so for me, if it fits that criteria, I'll get it. Why not? A couple of the shirts
I think that
look a little
for
bit
me
more
too,
right
with work,
right
when I'm teaching.
right. Right. But yeah, so it was really good, dude. I don't know how I didn't turn into a Sachertorte. I ate Sachertorte almost every day while I was in Vienna. And what happened was
Little Sachertorte
we went to
you.
this. That's right. We went to this really good. What would you even call it in English? Konditorei. It's like a bakery / pastry shop.
Yeah.
What would you?
Yeah, pastry shop probably, but you can like sit down there, can't you?
Right. And I had a Wiener Melange, of course, and got Sachertorte, and they gave us like a coupon for $1.50 off or €1.50 off downstairs, whatever cakes or sweets. So initially we were going to get my dad a piece of cake. We already had bought him one, but we were going to get him another piece. And then I walked down there.
What do you mean you were going to get him?
Dude, they had
like
a whole,
to go or something?
Yeah, to go.
Oh.
And because he was at the art museum. Of course he was, right?
Oh.
Yeah, this was when we were still in Vienna. And
so you had plenty of time to kill.
But then I walked down there and I see 50% off. It was a whole Sachertorte, which they're not that big.
Oh, yeah.
But it was an entire Sachertorte. And usually if you buy it per piece, it's expensive. It's like €4 or €5 for one piece. It was half off. Plus that coupon, I paid €7 for an entire Sachertorte.
Did you bring it back with you? Do you have some there?
No, I ate it. I ate it all while I was there because it probably wouldn't have been good. Yeah, dude. So like I said, I was eating it every single day. But it was so damn good.
Maybe it's making me reconsider
Of course, I got
Pop-Tarts
schnitzel
for breakfast.
I mean, dude, I kid you not. One of the mornings I had Sachertorte for breakfast.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's living the dream in Wien, man. Just eating Sachertorte when you're having breakfast. But it was good. I went to the Haus der Musik, that museum. Did you ever go there while you were there?
Maybe. I don't know.
It was cool. I never went there, and it's like super interactive. They have a couple rooms where you can. They have one room where you can lead the Vienna Symphonic Orchestra. So you pick the piece, and there's like this special like wand, the conductor stick, and you have to move it in time. And what's crazy is if you move it too fast, they play faster.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And if you move it really slow, they play really slow.
How good is it?
And if you do it,
like, can you?
It's pretty accurate.
Is it pretty quick to adjust?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And the crazy thing about it is if you play too slow or too fast for too long, I don't know how they did this. They had to film all of this, obviously, and then somehow sync it with the conductor stick. I don't know what the correct term is for that, but I'm sure there's a better term for it than that.
Or wand?
Maybe the wand. Maybe
Wand.
we'll call it the wand.
Seems a little too extravagant. I feel like it's a baton.
Yeah, well,
but baton seems so like it seems too delicate to be called a baton. But baton just means stick. It's a fancy word for stick.
Well, the thingy that the conductor waves while he's directing the orchestra.
Let's go with wand.
What's crazy is if you do it too right. So the wand, if you wave the wand too slowly, or too fast, eventually they'll stand up and leave the stage.
Oh, wait, the actual band?
Yeah.
It's like we're better than this.
It's not a real band. It's obviously videotaped.
Of course. But I'm saying like they'll actually. It looks like it's Guitar Hero or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Guitar Hero, but you're conducting like Radetzky March by Strauss or On the Beautiful Blue Danube. But what's funny about On the Beautiful Blue Danube, because it's a waltz and because it's a little bit slower, you can move the wand in a circle. And if you time it right,
when you hit that spot at the right time.
Yeah, it works perfectly. So small children like 3 years old could easily and just do it at the right time.
Yeah, but that's not as much fun as getting into it.
Of course not.
Percussion.
What was funny is we were watching these kids do it, and this one kid, he was doing Brahms' Hungarian dance. Oh, I don't remember what number it is, but it's a really famous piece by Brahms.
Let's say 6.
And the way I think it might have been number 5. But anyways, there's a part at the end of the little like line or the phrase, the musical phrase, where it's like a little is the ending of it, right? And so the kid would go normal speed, and then at the very end he'd do it really fast.
And would they speed up?
So it'd be like and then the part after that it'd be like it was hilarious. It was so funny, and everyone was cracking up. It was awesome. So that museum's really interactive.
I love a good interactive museum. You're never too old for an interactive museum.
Oh, not at all. You gotta just unleash your inner child when you're at those places.
A lot of interactive museums. Well, by a lot I mean the one that I'm familiar with in Philadelphia, the Franklin Institute. They also often have events. I don't want to say after hours because these are not like eyes wide shut parties, but they have like events like later in the day, like in the evening, where they'll do like beer or like where you can buy drinks and do different museum activities that they have there.
That's awesome.
Like I didn't have any booze or anything when I did this, but I went to did I tell you I went to the Franklin Institute recently, and I went to the planetarium. And I saw one of those good old-fashioned dome
You did.
And it was short. It was great, but it was only like 15 minutes. And when I was walking out, I was like, I could have been in there for like an hour and a half.
Right.
I was kind of expecting to as well, but like I was like, I wanted you to go through every constellation like I remember back in like third grade.
Right, for sure. That's awesome.
And be like, I don't know how I'd ever actually see this. What were we talking? Oh, yeah. So you were at the Interactive Museum. That's what it was.
Yep, Haus der Musik. So if any of our listeners out there are planning a trip to Vienna, I would highly suggest checking out Haus der Musik. It's fantastic. I think I paid 16 euros, so it was a little pricey, but it was good. I mean, there were like 3 or 4 floors, really cool stuff, really great
16
information
euro
about
does
composers.
Not seem terrible for a museum.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad.
You really,
but yeah,
it's so funny hearing you give prices because anyone like, excuse me, I've been drinking alcohol, I must admit, and it's caused me to be burpy. Would hear you and be like, wow, Chad's a real cheapskate. Like he was complaining about a €4 beer.
Right. Dude, that was the other thing. I've noticed the Czech Republic has spoiled me. I'm so used to spending, maybe maximum $1, $1.50 for a beer here, right? And when I was in Vienna, I went to a couple really cool bars, and they were like €5. And I felt bad spending €5 for a beer.
You're in a big city now.
Right. But even in Prague, if you know the right places, you can, buy a beer for 35 or 40 crowns.
I think a lot of that more has to do with less being in a quote-unquote big city and more just how exchange rates work.
Exactly, for sure.
Okay. Well, that's great. We can get more to your trip later.
Sounds good.
Do you want to spread a little love and do
always,
some shots?
always.
I actually have one.
Well, let's start with you then, man. Spread that love
All
around.
Right. Well, this one is pretty crazy. So, Colin O'Brady, have you heard of Colin? His last name's O'Brady, but he's American. He's 33, and he has become the first person to ski alone and unaided across Antarctica.
Oh wow!
And unaided
That's
means
crazy.
Unaided means this is cross country skiing. Obviously, it's not all downhill skiing. So he just scurried his way across Antarctica. And obviously, I have some facts for you about this if you want to hear about it. This is from the National Geographic, so you know it's legit.
For sure.
Using solely his own muscle power, O'Brady skied 932 miles, pulling a 300-pound sled over 54 frigid days across the coldest, windiest, most remote continent on Earth, crossing from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean via the South Pole. After a remarkable 80-mile continuous push over the last 2 days, almost 5 times his strenuous daily average, he emerged from the Trans-Antarctic Mountain onto the Ross Ice Shelf a little before 1 p.m. Eastern Time, December 26th, and stamped his name into the annals of polar lore. Get up all into those annals of polar lore, Colin O'Brady.
Now, the South Pole, there aren't any polar bears, right? That's only the North Pole.
I'm not sure, but I'll tell you in 3 seconds. Are there polar...
Because I feel like if you were like doing that where there's polar bears and you're on that long of a trek, your ass has got to be eaten.
Polar bears live in the Arctic near the North Pole. Penguins live on Antarctica and the neighboring continents near the South Pole. So penguins will probably leave you alone.
Okay.
Polar bears will eat anything that has a pulse and flesh on its bones.
Oh, for sure. For sure. They're the most aggressive bears out there because
they're the most desperate.
So hungry. Right. Exactly.
I mean, brown bears and grizzly bears and black bears they're all I mean, most of the time there's a gluttony of food for them because they're also polar bears are also the only ones that are purely
omnivore or carnivores.
Yes, which maybe also is just because of their
name of the game,
because of their environment. It's like they're barely animals, let alone plants.
Most definitely.
So just this is the Untranslatable podcast, and we like to give all the continents some love. That includes Antarctica.
That's right.
So to our people out there in Antarctica,
for sure.
An American person came there and controlled and conquered your continent. Are there any countries on the continent of Antarctica?
I don't think so.
So it's just a continent and that's it? Is there
I would imagine so because...
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I think the only people that actually like live there are usually like scientists doing some type of research.
Right.
I would imagine.
And then I guess my next question would be: is there anyone that controls, like, who's in control of what's happening in Antarctica?
Right, you could just go have crazy parties in Antarctica
Like
because
some of
there's
those
no
James
police,
Bond,
no laws. Right,
hotels.
Well, dude, that's what's crazy is I heard, and I don't know how true this was. This was coming from the History Channel, which sometimes can be kind of credible. Sometimes I'm not so sure, but they said that when the Nazis were still in power, the Nazis actually wanted to have some secret base in Antarctica.
That sounds credible as shit. I mean, I'd believe that. That doesn't sound credible. Let me clarify. This could easily be meme news, but I'd 100% believe that. That sounds like some real Nazi shit. I mean, the Nazis were like they did partake in some like horror movie levels of like experimenting
sure.
and like super villain levels of weird thoughts of what to do with people and with countries and stuff. So
and the other scary thing about the Nazis, right?
Hitler's
and the other scary thing about the Nazis,
chilling. Listen to the Untranslatable podcast.
That's right. That's right. I mean, that's the other crazy thing too is like how some of the best scientists were Nazis, and then we after World War II, we basically forced them to come to America and work for us.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that seems like crazy enough stuff that they could do it. But but what was that guy's name again though? That is just
Colin
crazy.
O'Brady.
That's awesome.
So I can give you some information on Antarctica.
Yeah, let's do it.
So it's 98% of Antarctica is covered by ice. So that averages about 1.9 kilometers or about 1.2 miles in thickness. So it's just pure, you're just walking on pure ice.
On ice.
Which extends to all but the northernmost reaches of the Antarctic Peninsula. But don't worry, if we're lucky, SUVs and sports cars will melt some of that down before electric cars come in and ruin everything.
Right.
That was sarcasm, people. Anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 people reside throughout the year at research stations scattered across the continent. So it's all... So there's no... Obviously, there's no actual population. But I want to know something about... politics. Several countries claim sovereignty in certain regions, while a few of these countries have mutually recognized each other's claims. The validity of these... So no one controls shit. It seems like other continents have claimed that they own certain portions of it, but there's no documentation or anything to validate that. And there's nothing... It doesn't seem like there's anything legitimate
Can you imagine going to war with another country over Antarctica?
Well, you can have it. You can. Well, there's probably a lot of interesting stuff you can find there about, like if you're doing like geological studies or like archaeological studies. There's probably a lot of interesting stuff you can find there about the history.
Oh, for sure. I'm
and
sure.
a lot of weird shit you could probably find in that ice. But you obviously you need one of those big fancy machines that look like a mole, that you'd see in Fast and Furious 12.
Exactly.
Do you have any more shout-outs? Do you want to spread a little love?
Yes, I do. I have 2 shout-outs. My first one goes out to a fisherman who he fell overboard. His name is Nathan Rogers, who's in his late 30s. He fell overboard on his fishing boat. I guess he was by himself, and he managed to cling onto the nets, and he was dragged for 5 miles behind his boat back to shore. So he had been adjusting the nets on his fishing boat, and it was an autopilot, and he fell overboard. But because the boat was an autopilot, obviously it kept moving forward. And he was smart enough, instead of panicking, it's crazy. It's a crazy story, right? And so he grabbed onto the nets, and thankfully he's okay. He survived.
So was he by himself?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Do they advise not to do that? Not to go do that by yourself? I mean, I'm not blaming the victim.
I would assume so, right? And the boat was traveling at 6 knots or about 7 miles per hour, which, I mean, through the water, that's pretty fast.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're not swimming that fast.
Right. Michael Phelps ain't swimming that fast. Nobody's swimming that fast. But yeah, so he was, went through 5 miles of freezing water, and so thankfully he's okay and clung to dear life. And the reason why I wanted to do this shout out is I feel
Bundle
like
up this
that
winter.
what he went through is kind of a metaphor of a lot of people's 2018s. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, it has been interesting to look back and see see where we're at in society. And, it's so funny too, because I think back to, it might have even been, I mean, it's not funny once you hear what I'm about to say, but I think back to 2016 when there was the mass extinction of celebrities. Remember that? The end of the year. Yep. There was every day celebrity, a big, because I remember Carrie Fisher died, George Michael died. Those are just two big ones that come up. They died pretty close to each other.
Right.
But those are just two big ones that come off the top of my head. But it was just every day, the celebrity died, this celebrity died. And people are like, 2016 is the worst. I can't wait for this to be over. And now it just seems that that's almost just I actually saw a funny tweet today where it was a meme, and it says at the beginning of the year, and it was essentially someone with a big smile on their face saying this, spread a little love, and
nice.
And then below it was at the end of the year, and it was from some movie. I don't remember what the movie was specifically, but it was essentially saying that person's trying to spread love, get him and break his legs.
Right.
Where it's people always start with these new year, new beginning. And then it always ends where it's this year we can't, this year needs to end. It's been the worst. It's only we need to start fresh. But it's it's so funny how we put these arbitrary dates on what a new beginning is, because the Earth and the universe, that these months that we use mean nothing to the actual universe. And maybe time is based solely off of lunar cycles or whatever they say it's based off of. But these are still arbitrary dates. I mean, we could make the summer a new year if we wanted to, and it wouldn't really make
wouldn't matter
other countries.
That much.
And I'll mention this later, but other countries have different New Years. They don't. Not everyone uses January 1st. So,
right on. Anyways, though, shout out to Nathan Rogers for clinging on.
I know. Jeez.
And staying calm. I'm assuming he stayed calm.
You have to. I mean, that's. Right. I feel like in the handbook, that's rule number 1. When you fall into freezing water, is stay calm. That has to be rule number 1.
Right. So, yeah. So, shout out to him. Yeah. And my second shout out, I know, it's pretty wild, isn't it? My second shout out goes out to everybody out there, our listeners, friends of our listeners, everybody out there who's just trying to make themselves a little bit better day by day, and also help our brothers and sisters out there. I think, I agree with you that, this new year, new me, or new year, all this stuff it's kind of cliche and a little kitschy, but at the same time, I am all for anybody who is just trying to help each other out and help themselves out.
Right.
And as your drop goes, spread that love. So I hope in 2019 we can spread a whole lot of love to everybody out there. And make this world a little bit of a better place day by day.
Let me mention. I mentioned all the stuff about it being arbitrary, but I also do think that there is something to obviously self-reflection and attempting growth. There's New Year's resolutions, and you reflect on how your previous year went. So I definitely do think there is something to that. I don't want to downplay that, but sometimes it just seems like putting it into action is always difficult. I mean, people always talk about gym memberships and stuff like that being increasing exponentially at the beginning of the year. So speaking of spread a little love, I said the drop, and I was like, oh, I have it. I was like, I'm gonna finish this beer that I was drinking before.
There you go.
Which is unrelated to the beer I'm about to review. Let me clarify. And I say that, oh God, that was awful. I'm sorry. I say that because I'm very excited for this Beer of the Pod review. This one is very exciting for me. I was, for multiple reasons, and this was a purely serendipitous find. I was walking to the grocery store. Chad usually, based off of how we do the Beer of the Pod reviews, technically it should be Chad, but I knew he was coming back from a vacation. And I'd seen this beer, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is the perfect beer. And
I'm really excited for this.
So, sorry, I just realized I'm messing with my rug here. I forgot to get a glass because I was rushing around. So 2 things we could do here, because I also haven't cleaned the lid. We could pause it real quick, and I can go get a glass.
Let's pause it.
All right, hold on. Sorry, my hands are wet. All right, let's pause it. And that's what we call a teaser on the business there, folks. I mean, granted, for you guys, it was less than a millisecond, but for us, it was a harrowing couple minutes of peeing, getting a glass, and then almost losing everything. But we're here with everything.
That's right.
And so the wait is over. Chad, could you look at this title, what that says? It's a little hard with the light that burned me earlier.
Oh, does that say Pilsner Prosim?
It does.
Pilsner, please. Ooh, Czech style Pilsner. I'm loving it.
So this, as Chad said, is a Pilsner Prosim.
Пожалуйста.
By
I love that drop.
Well, by St. Benjamin's, which is a brewery literally 2 minutes walking distance from my house.
Oh, nice.
I knew that there was a restaurant there. I did not realize it was an actual brewery. And I didn't realize that this was a brewery 2 minutes from my house until I got it home and actually researched the brewery. And it said, well, now I'm going to give it away. I guess who cares? No one is going to come stalk me. But it said my street address on there. I was like, wait, what? And I was like,
crazy.
oh, I know where that place is. I drive past it every day on my way to work. Hey, don't come stalk me, people. You can really triangulate on where I live with this. I think this whole doing local beer of the review pods is really biting me in the ass. It's starting to get a little too local.
Right. Right.
So I brewed this beer in my basement. So it's a Czech-style Pilsner. And I'm going to crack it open real quick. You know what I should have done? And I thought this 20 minutes before we started recording. I should have bought a Pilsner Urquell and done a full-on taste test comparison.
Oh, I had one earlier, actually.
But I didn't think of it until it was too late. So I'll read you a little bit about this company as I'm cracking this open and pouring it. St. Benjamin Brewing Company. Oh, this is a 4.7% alcohol by volume. The name.
So I think that would be a 10 here.
Okay.
A 10 degree or an 11 degree.
I'll take your word for it. The name St. Benjamin is a reference to founding father Benjamin Franklin. Is he a saint? Has he been canonized? I do not know that.
I'm not sure. That's a good
I don't know
question.
if that's officiated by the Catholic Church. Hey, check this out.
All right. That to me though is looks more like a Hefeweizen.
I'm going to say some of that had to do with the light. I might have something to do with the light, but
okay.
yeah, I think you're kind of right.
Yeah, to me it looks golden. It looks more golden.
Well, we'll
than
get
it
to
does
that.
ambery.
We'll get to that though, because
Okay.
I think you might be kind of right as I look at it too. Because pilsners need to be a little bit more gold. You're right, and this
Right.
is a little too cloudy for your average pilsner. So anyway, the idea for this brewery was devised in founder Tim Patton's 190-year-old home and former firehouse in Philadelphia. The founder of the city's fire companies, Franklin. Oh, excuse me. The founder of the city's fire companies, Franklin, was also an avid homebrewer. Apparently, he was the founder of the city's fire companies. Our tap room with draft beer and full kitchen is now. All right, I'm not advertising for these people. Don't go there because it's too close to me. I don't. I'm not saying don't go there. That's terrible. I actually also thought, oh, what if I went there for lunch and I actually got the full experience? I could do that later. So
You should.
The reason I think I would attribute this Pilsner to not looking like your average Czech one, and I think the answer is written on the side of this can, which is a 16 fluid ounce 1 pint can.
Mm-hmm.
Pilsner Prosim is boldly
Пожалуйста.
hopped with Czech sass and brewed using traditional decoction method. Spicy hops complement bready malts for a balanced, nuanced beer you can enjoy again and again. I think there's something that has to do with those hops that might have something to do with it, would be my guess.
Probably.
Now,
Would you say the beer has kind of a blonde appearance?
yeah.
With some haziness?
Yeah. Hazy blonde. Sounds like my Saturday night. That's kind of gross, isn't it? Hazy, that's not a good option. I was thinking hazy blonde was the hair color, but I was like, oh, that sounds aggressive. Now let me taste this beer. Well, yeah, okay. It smells Pilsnery, though. I'll give them that.
So it has that skunkiness.
Well, maybe no. I take that back. Interesting. I like this beer very much, but it tastes like an IPA with a low amount of hops almost.
Okay.
Like if you were to give this to someone in your neck of the woods and say, here, try out this Pilsner, they would take that goddamn glass and smash it over your head. And then they chug down a Pilsner and exclaim, Nazvatladi, or how do you say, is that how you say cheers?
Nazdravi.
Oh, Nazdravi. Nazdravi, bitch. But it's good. I like it. I think it's good. I kind of enjoy this. I feel like this is this would be a good introduction for you, someone that doesn't like IPAs or overly hoppy beers. Too hoppy beers.
To kind of to get into the hoppy beers.
They call this a Pilsner, but I expect Pilsners to be a little bit more golden and less hazy in complexion.
Right.
And I think the taste reflects that hazy complexion.
Oh, for sure. I would, I mean, obviously I can't taste it, but I feel like a lot of times when I look at beer, I kind of get an idea before I even taste it based on, the color, the haziness of it. Yeah.
Especially when I do these beer of the reviews as well. Beer of the pod reviews. That's what I meant to say where I stumbled.
Right. What would be fascinating is to do a complete blind test.
Of what?
Of beer. And so you don't see it at all.
Oh.
Because I wonder how much that attributes to the taste.
So I went to the bar the other day with one of our mutual friends, Laura Stevenson. Her family lives in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and she does not. She used to live here, but she doesn't live here anymore. She's home for the holidays.
She's in Texas now, isn't she?
She is, yeah. She's home for the holidays, and we hung out the other day, and we went to a bar out in the suburbs called Doylestown, and it was funny because she was like, she's like, I don't have a car, so I can borrow my parents' car, but I feel bad making you drive like an hour, and I mentioned, I was like, oh, that's fine. Like I haven't been doing anything with my break. It would be a delight to actually have to go somewhere instead of just walk. Like I'm actually for once happy not to go to a place that's just in walking distance down the street from me, because I have barely seen daylight in the past 4 days.
Right.
Anyway, so at this bar we went to. They had this $4 beer thing where it's a $4 can of beer and it's a random beer. And so they just give you, they have a wide range of a bunch of crazy stuff and they just give you something. And so I got it, and I don't remember exactly what I got, but it was actually better than, I got 2 beers, so I got a beer after that. It was actually better than the beer I actually picked and ordered. I was like, I kind of wish I kind of had another one of that other one. But it was, so I thought that was a cool, so that's kind of, I mean, it's not a taste test thing. But I've never been to one of those, random beer. And it was cheap, too. I mean, $4 is not bad for a random. And it was a tall boy.
Especially in the States.
It was a pint, too.
Ooh, that's really good. Yeah. All right.
So it was a great deal. And it was a good beer, too. So I thought that was a cool thing to do. I've never seen that before.
I haven't either. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. It's, I wouldn't call it, I think the Czechs would scoff at this being called a Pilsner. But as we've mentioned so many times in this podcast, I think that's what I like about American beers is that they have that willingness and ability to try, to go a little bit out of the box a little bit. And I'd say that this might not be a Pilsner in the eyes of Czech people, but I think that this is a perfect example of an out-of-the-box Pilsner. And I might actually go back and get some more of this.
You should. And then you'll have to say Nastravi when you have one.
Oh, I thought you meant to the cashier. She'd be like,
cashier,
what?
That too, definitely.
Huh?
What? Like it has Czech on the can. Don't worry.
Oh, did you see a couple weeks ago though? When I was at my local grocery store where I got this beer, and they had like that little. I don't know if you saw the. I put it into a story. and it was that picture, Instagram story. It was a picture of the like a little holiday box of Pilsner Urquell, and on it said I keep forgetting how to say it.
Nastravi.
And they still have it up there because apparently no one wants it.
It's just not as good in the States. Also, I tell you what, you will confuse a lot of Czech people if you tell them it's a Pilsner, if it's a Pilsner beer, because I think most, as we've talked about, when they hear the word Pilsner, they think only Pilsner Urquell.
Right. And if it weren't for you living in the Czech Republic, I would not have been so sensitive to them calling this, and hearing you even hesitate to call other beers Pilsners. That's why I was very interested to. And I don't even think I needed a Pilsner Urquell to compare it.
Right.
Even though it would have been nice, but
I don't know if it. I think it would have done it more of a disservice if you would have had a Pilsner Urquell.
Right. Yeah, because then I'm
to compare it. I would say.
Why? Because then I'm gonna be mean to the Pilsner Urquell. Is that what you're saying?
No, just because it's so different.
Oh, right.
I mean, just by the looks. I mean, it doesn't.
Right.
I almost cracked open this Pilsner Urquell I had
out of comparison
right next to me. Yeah, just so we could look at the color and everything.
But you don't even have to.
Right. I've had more than one Pilsner Urquell in my 4 months that I've been here.
And
to say the least.
Just to conclude this, I say all this to say. This does not go to say that this is, once again, not a delicious beer that I think is great, and I think it's great with or without a meal. And
what time of the year would you prefer to drink it, you think?
Well, let me start by saying this seems like it would go great with the schnitzel. Still haven't found Spätzle. I went to Whole Foods the other day. They didn't have it.
Oh wow!
But this seems maybe like a fall beer.
Okay.
Because I'd say, I don't want to say like a summertime beer, but it's also, I don't know if it's the best beer. Like it's a very well-rounded beer. That's why it's very tough to give it a season. But I might say fall because if I had to choose a season, because it's not heavy enough to really constitute a good winter beer, I think, and it's not fruity enough or hoppy enough. The hoppiness kind of gives it some fruitiness to me. It's not fruity enough or hoppy enough to, or light enough. Well, maybe it's light enough to be a summer beer, but the flavor doesn't say summer beer to me. But it's light enough to be a summer beer. Like I could easily drink one of these outside in the summer and not be like, "Oh, it's a little too much" or anything like that. But people don't even see me do that. I've done like 4 or 5 physical things this podcast that no one's seen, and I every time I do it, I'm like, why am I doing this? No one sees it. I just want to make you laugh. That's really all it is.
Right. Eventually, we got to get some cameras in here, especially how much we've talked about my laid-back vibes tank top.
Well, I think I figured out how to do it on my end. I just don't know if that'll apply to you. Because I think it's too much. Well, we won't talk about it now, but
we can talk about it later.
I think I actually have figured out a way to do it. Not well, but at least so there's some video. And then there's...
Oh, nice.
But, we'll talk about it later.
Nice.
But
well, buddy, do you happen to have the time?
Of course.
Пожалуйста.
Shit, I forgot I changed my soundboard. Damn it.
What's funny is you probably could have not even said anything.
I know, but I'm mad at myself because that's where I used to have the untranslatable owl, but it's here now.
There we go.
Because I want to push
There we go, I hear it. Nice. Well, get us started, buddy.
All right, sure. So I got my first... I have 3. And I want to do all 3 of these. My first one is Zulu.
Oh, nice.
Actually, my first 2 are Zulu. And
that's spoken in South Africa, right?
Yes, I believe it's spoken in other parts of Southern Africa, but I know for sure it is spoken in South Africa. But there might be other countries around there that use it too. Ingve idla nagambale. Nagambala. Nagamabala. There we go.
Which means?
Ingve idle nagamabala. A leopard eats...
Sounds nice.
A leopard eats by means of its spots. Zulu is a very nice language. I like it.
Sounds cool. A leopard eats by the means of his spots?
Yep.
Is that what it is? This could mean so many different things.
Yeah,
I don't even know where to begin.
That's why I like it, because it's simple, but you could take it in many, many directions.
Right. Is this kind of like Is this kind of like dress for the job you want, not the job you have?
Nope.
No. Okay. Give me an example.
So let's see. All right. So last episode, the only reason I'm bringing this up, by the way, and this is gonna break the fourth wall, but I'm saying this so I don't hurt your feelings. The only reason this comes to my mind because I just edited our last podcast, and I just remember you saying this because I listened to the whole thing. It's documented that you're not a good planner. But sometimes maybe it could be aggravating, but I adjust for things like that because I love that you travel and I love that you're a teacher with so many great stories. And the thing is about this podcast and about life is that a leopard eats by means of its spots. And we and I don't mind doing the editing
roll
because
with the punches?
Not really. It means each person survives off his or her talent. That wasn't a good example, but I tried to explain it so that we each bring our different talents to the table or something like that.
Gotcha. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
so the reason that the leopard is
so
effective as a hunter is because it blends in with the spots or whatever it is.
Right. Makes sense. Well, I got 2 Czech ones for you.
Okay.
Still coming strong with these Czech ones. It was nice to take a break with a couple
It's
German
crazy,
ones.
I'm still impressed.
I know, right? So this first one is roste jako dojví vyleze, which means he or she is growing up like timber in the forest.
Say that again. The English version.
He or she is growing up like timber in the forest.
Like you don't even notice.
No, not quite.
Growing up fast? Really? Is it fast?
No.
Okay.
Although that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, I thought maybe it's not noticed because it's like every time I come back, you're so much bigger.
Right. No, this is more like when children are being like unattended or things like this, and they're just like going crazy.
Oh, like a child that's not raised well. That's
exactly.
We have English Untranslatable for that.
What do we say?
That kid was raised by wolves. You would say.
Oh yeah,
which I think would be the same thing. Which is like this, or a common one like if someone that leaves the door open, you say, "What are you raised in a barn?"
Right, exactly.
So I think those might be English equivalents. I like that one. That's fun.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
All right, I got another Zulu one for you. How many? Okay, I also want to end on my last one just because it'll.
That's fine. Do your Zulu one. I'll do my last Czech one, and then you can end it.
So the next one is Zulu, as I said, and it's Amanzikwa Kamili Mba Umbuya. Let me try that one again. Just clean it. Let me clean it up. Amanixva. How did I do that first one? That's a tough one.
Yeah, it rolled off the tongue.
Because now I don't know how I even did it. but the struggle is that
you're thinking too hard.
I know.
That's why.
I know.
You're thinking too hard.
Because I wanted to get it better, but now I'm thinking too hard. Forget it. You heard it the first time. Because I can't even repeat that. It means a rolling stone gathers no moss.
Wait, don't we have that in English?
What is it?
Well, I'm trying to think.
Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, all he left was alone.
You know what? That's a Jimi Hendrix lyric.
That's not Jimi Hendrix. He played that song, but that's a very popular song.
Well, there's a song called, I'm pretty sure it's Highway Child.
No, it's Like a Rolling Stone.
No, but there's also, I'm like positive.
The song I'm thinking of is sang by it's more like a dun dun dun. Papa was a rolling stone. It's like one of those Motown-y kind of bands. Is that? But I do remember Jimi Hendrix like a rolling I do remember he had a rendition of that. Papa.
Okay. You're right. You're right. It was Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But that's a different song than Papa.
Oh no,
The Temptations.
But see, hold
sing
up.
Papa. By the way, that's all I'm saying. I'm out.
Okay.
The Temptations sing Papa was a Rolling Stone. That's what.
This is weird though. Actually, if you look up, I'm looking up the lyrics right now of Highway Child.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally says a rolling stone that gathers no moss.
Oh. Well, read some more of the lyrics. Let's see if you can figure this one out.
Okay, hold up. All right, hold up. Let me see here.
Because I don't think this one
Right
is
here.
as easy to
So
figure
right
out.
here. Okay, here we go. The rest of the world he had longed to see, but everybody knows the boss, a rolling stone who gathers no moss. I mean, the whole song's about basically like just kind of, you're just kind of living free, kind of wandering, being a troubadour. I don't know if that's what this means, though, is it?
I'm going to give that to
All
you.
right.
That was awesome. And this is why
Thank you, Jimi Hendrix.
this is why we love music so much at the Untranslatable podcast. This is a Zulu untranslatable, which are idioms, sayings, proverbs. And we solved it by means of one of the greatest American rock stars known to man.
Right.
Yeah, well, what they say is someone that changes jobs a lot. But I think that's essentially what all of this was getting at. Is someone that is kind of just rolling around with no real focus in life and
right.
and a
So,
rolling
so
stone.
if you gathered moss, would that mean that you're acquiring like knowledge or wealth or something?
No. Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes. No, wait. Wait. You said if you're a rolling stone?
So if you're a rolling stone that gathers no moss, it means you're just kind of going through life.
Right.
Like
You don't have
doing
the
your
ability
thing,
to
right?
settle in somewhere and gather moss, is what it is.
Right.
And that's what I
Ah,
don't
I
think
see.
that's what you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
but I feel like that's what you meant to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was
yeah.
a little confused.
No, you're good.
But yeah,
You're
I think
good.
that's what it's saying. It's like there's no experience on that rock. It's been moving around too much. It hasn't sat in a place long enough to really get comfortable.
Right.
And
For sure.
some people look down on that. Some people envy that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Oh,
the way
for
that
sure.
it's said here, and I think maybe because these are also probably very more family-oriented cultures that are cultivating these untranslatables, is it's kind of said with a with almost a hint of negativity, you know? Where it's like, oh, this person can't settle in and almost like raise a family or something like that.
Right.
It
I'm
seems
worried
like the
that
hint.
might be me. I might be that rolling
I
stone.
think it might
that
be me
gathers
too.
no
I'm not
moss.
worried.
Right.
Well, I'm worried
Maybe
for
it's
my.
not a bad
I'm worried
thing.
for my family, but because I feel like a lot of them. I mean, I come from a Southern family. They a lot of them probably expect. Not that my parents really push me on that, but I think there is sort of a lot of that just ingrained in the culture. Is is that a wife and kids are on the way. You know,
Right.
they don't
for
they don't
sure.
expect it to be tomorrow, but it just there almost does seem like there's some sort of expectation layering. Do you feel that from your parents sometimes, or does your mom even push you? I mean, you always have a girlfriend.
Not
so,
really.
Your mom's probably like, "Is this the one?" Oh, nope, never mind.
I mean, I don't think so. I think it's because
that
she's
was a
already
realistic
she already has grandchildren.
Wait, does she?
So, yeah, my sisters both have kids.
Oh, but those are her stepkids, though.
I mean, they're still her grandchildren.
Right. I don't want to take that away from you.
They're still her. They still call her Oma.
Oh,
so
dude,
they're
all right.
definitely still.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know the level of the. But yeah, okay.
Right. But yeah. Anyways, my
But
last
you're her boy.
check.
You're her little boy. You're her only.
I'm her baby, regardless, for sure. But anyways, my next phrase is also Czech, and it also has to do with kind of forest, and it is "Kdy se kaciles padají toisky," which the literal translation is when a forest is being cut down, splinters fall.
Is it almost like saying there's collateral damage when splinters fall? So, like, there's repercussions for your dangerous actions?
Hit that ham horn, my man. You got it. Yeah, it basically means there are unpleasant side effects to important things.
I don't think... I wonder if that would translate to some other cultures, say cultures in South America or in the Amazon forest, or in North America and the United States where we're not as concerned about the environment. If that's sort of untranslatable, that I assume is old, it's not new, but it's directly translated saying that our effects, it's essentially saying our effects on the environment have long-term effects on and obviously you relate that to humans, but it's what it's saying. It's like it comes from essentially saying if you mess with the environment, it'll mess with you back. Be careful.
Right. Well, and we have an English phrase. We say you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
Right. Oh, yeah, I guess so. I was very focused on the environmental part that I didn't even think about.
Right.
About that one. It's a good one. All right. One more, and this one actually comes from, I saw that you actually, I'll get to, this one comes from our friend on Instagram, Nicole at the Expatcast. I saw you commented on that. But she had an untranslatable. I don't even think she knows it was an untranslatable. But she was talking about how this is Zwischen den Jahren, which is German for between the years. And I thought that was an interesting phrase for this time of year. I'd never heard that before. And it's essentially, I mean, it's not Zwischen den Jahren for anyone listening to this, but it is for Chad and I. And it's essentially the time between Christmas and New Year's, because it's exactly a week, and it's the time between the years. So it's sort of like when you have a watch and it's midnight, and it's like 11 o'clock midnight, and the little date on it is switching over and it's rolling over.
Right.
That's what it feels like in years in that week in between, especially the way I've been living.
For sure.
Whereas it's like, this is I'm not really human right now. I'm just moving over, changing my clocks.
I didn't even know what day it was yesterday.
No, I haven't known what day it was for the longest time. For the longest time. So, in this Zwischen den Jahren times, it is good to reflect. And, we hope you had a good Christmas. We hope you had a good Boxing Day. Hope you have a good New Year's. Yeah, I love Boxing Day. Favorite day of the year. No, I'm kidding. Do you know what Boxing Day is?
Yeah, they celebrated in Austria.
Oh.
So all the shops were closed when we were there. They were closed on the 24th after 1 o'clock, the 25th, and the 26th. So we had to be very selective with our grocery shopping.
I think some countries would argue that that's not a proper, and let me actually rephrase that. Some countries would say that that's not a proper Boxing Day.
Okay.
And I say that because, first of all, Boxing Day, apparently it comes from like...
started by the British.
Yes, so a lot of British settled countries like Canada or Australia, New Zealand, Australia. So why did it sound weird when I said that?
Australia, mate.
New Zealand celebrate Boxing Day. And from what I've read on one step above meme news, which is Wikipedia, is that Boxing Day is usually it is a public holiday or quote unquote banking holiday, but it's also almost like the British version of Black Friday.
Oh yeah.
Which is interesting because it's the day after all the holidays are over until next year. I'm never that prepared to buy people Christmas gifts the day after Christmas. That's the last thing I'm thinking about.
Oh, for sure. I heard though that Boxing Day also had to do with that the Brits just wanted another holiday. They wanted to be able to stretch it out.
Those lazy English. Is that true? Where'd you hear that from?
I
don't know why I asked you that. Honestly, I don't know why I asked you that because it's what answer? What was the answer I was looking for there?
I mean, the answer would have been Google.
So it is a banking holiday, which I guess it makes sense by the very nature that it's a banking holiday. Because banking holiday, that's not like some sort of national independence or anything like that. Banking holidays are more or less just decided upon. So I guess that kind of makes sense. So as we're in the as we're Zwischen den Jahren, do you have any? I mean, your Christmas is over. I hope it was good. I hope Santa was good to you. Did we talk about that last episode? Was our last episode after or before Christmas?
It was before Christmas, wasn't it? I think it was before.
Okay. When was Christmas? Wow, we haven't talked in a while. How was your Christmas?
Yeah, it's been a minute. Christmas is good, man.
I haven't brought that up because I thought we already talked about that.
I don't think we did.
Well, let's start by recapping your weekend in Austria.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Because it'll get to Christmas eventually. Well, we don't have to recap it. Well, at least
we can recap some of it and talk about
some
Christmas.
things, some highlights, some personal highlights.
Right. So we celebrated Christmas in Vienna. Didn't have a tree, which was a little strange. Obviously, we didn't have a tree. Not going to bring a tree with us.
I mean, you could. But, you did have an apartment. I guess technically you could have, but you couldn't really. Dress it up.
Would have been difficult. We joked around
Decorate.
that. Right. We joked around that when we were in Prague, there was actually like a Christmas tree lot right by our apartment.
You could have gotten one of those Peanuts Christmas trees, those little stumpy ones.
Right.
Hey, can we get the top of like that one rotting Christmas tree back there?
Exactly.
So you spent Christmas in Vienna.
Mm-hmm. Yep, which was amazing.
Were gifts exchanged?
Definitely. Oh yeah, of course. I got my mom. My mom loves candles, so I got her. She told me get her something small because obviously they got to haul it all the way back to the States, right? Mm-hmm. So got her a candle. It was a cinnamon vanilla candle that smells kind of like these tasty Czech Christmas cookies we've been devouring the last week.
This make me a little hungry.
So that was good. Right?
I wish I had some Indian food and some cookies.
Right. So I got her that, and then what else did I get her? Got her like a couple little things. I don't even remember now. I also got my parents a bottle of wine, but they don't want to take that back because it's heavy. So we're gonna enjoy that as a family one of these days. So that'll be good.
New Year's.
I got my dad right. Well, we got champagne for New Year's.
Okay. Are you just okay? We'll get to that. Go ahead. Keep going.
Right. And then I got my dad a really cool Prague T-shirt. Was gonna get him a Prague drinking team T-shirt because they're all over Prague. But I decided my dad. I think he'd wear it
outside.
But, well, I mean, he doesn't leave the house that much anyways. So he doesn't. He goes grocery shopping and he goes and plays table tennis. That's and he goes to work. That's about it.
Doesn't he have a job? I guess he's not wearing that to work though, I guess.
Well, in a couple weeks, actually, he'll be retiring.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, so that's pretty sweet. But yeah, so I just got them a couple little things. I have it here at my apartment, but we're going to do it also for New Year's. I can show you, Jared. It is, so the Czech is Vánoční lity olova, and these are traditional Czech, it's iron that you melt it in a spoon, you put it in water, and then you put the iron in the water, and then you when it hardens, you pull it out, and you try to guess what the shapes are, what they represent for the new year.
So it's like a Rorschach test for the new year.
That's right.
So you're taking pictures of these, right?
Oh, I will.
Okay. I was like,
yeah,
I have to see this.
Right.
So is this like a Czech tradition of some sort?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And they do it in some parts of Germany, I read as well.
Jesus. No, I'm kidding.
They do have Jesus. That's who you think brings them presents. They don't have Santa Claus.
Oh, right.
They have Ježíšek.
Right.
Baby Jesus.
I'm so confused by what's going on over there.
Right.
But I guess
but Christmas in Vienna was good though.
Okay. What was did you like stay in? You didn't go anywhere or anything? I guess you had to have dinner somewhere. Do you have a nice dinner?
We stayed in. We ate at this really nice Italian place that was like right down the street from our apartment, which was delicious.
That's the good thing about a big enough city too, is that even on Christmas you'll find quality restaurants open, because that's probably harder to find in Kumatov, for example.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure what was open here, if anything was open.
Right.
So we got some really good Italian food for Christmas. Probably not your typical, Czechs usually will have carp.
Yeah.
No carp.
Do the Austrians not do that? The carp? Because the Germans do that too, don't they?
I think the Austrians might also do fish as well, I would imagine. But I could be wrong. But yeah, it was really good, man. It was really enjoyable, really relaxing. I would say fairly low stress. The reason why I say fairly low stress is, sometimes it's a little stressful when you're traveling with your family, and like I want to make sure they're having a good time and enjoying it, and I put a lot of that up on my shoulders, and I feel like if I didn't worry about it as much, it'd probably be less stressful. But
that's why I don't. That's why I don't like being a tour guide. It's because I do the same thing where it's like I feel responsible for their trip, and it's just so much pressure. But you actually take it and run and grab it by the bulls and
I
try to the world's greatest tour guide.
I try to.
I hide.
But I've had an amazing time with my parents, and I love them to death. But this has tested my patience a little bit, because as we've mentioned, my parents are older, and it takes them a while to get around. And so I always like start walking, and then I look, and they're like 5-10 paces back behind me. So I always got to plan 5 or 10 extra minutes if we're walking somewhere. than what it would usually take me. Yeah.
When you walk like on pace with them, at least does it almost feel like you're, at least for me, it almost feels like I'm mocking my parents, you know? Like I'm walking so slow that to me it almost like this is not even real. Like I feel like I'm
right.
Where it's like you take like those like like it's almost like a cartoon when they're sneaking around like a place, where it's like you're taking those like almost intentionally slow steps. And I get that. I mean, I get that. And I think spending that amount of time, like the older you get in general, and it just gets hard to spend that amount of time with family, no matter how good your relationship is with your family. Right. I would assume, I mean, I don't know everyone's situation, but I got to assume that if you have lived, especially if you've lived alone for a long enough time, or at least alone meaning not in your parents' house, let's put it that way,
right.
For a long enough time, it's definitely an adjustment spending, I mean, what, 2 weeks with them?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And feeling a slight bit responsible for them, adding on top of that, because when you're at home, with just a normal Christmas in Michigan, you don't really feel responsible for them in their own home. They can handle themselves.
Right, exactly. So I got to make sure that the food they're getting they like, they're doing the activities they like to do.
When you say this, I almost feel like I need to stick up for your parents in a way, and make it clear to the audience that your parents are perfectly capable people. Like, yeah, they're
for sure.
They're older in the sense that they're older, but you're not helping your mom walk. Like, you're not holding your mom as she crosses the street.
Sure. Right. 100%.
Your dad's not in a wheelchair.
Right. But the other thing is, it's funny you mention that, because my parents are capable, I've been getting a little frustrated when they ask me to do all sorts of things. Like my mom will go to the ATM and she'll be like, "Help me with the ATM." And I'm like, "You're in your 60s. You know how to work an ATM. Like why do you gotta, why do you need to ask, I get that she doesn't want to exactly. Like I get that you don't want to accidentally hit check and then like withdraw,
$6 million.
Exactly. I totally get that. But like it's stuff that she'll ask me to do like that, where I'm kind of like,
right.
I'm happy to help you, but when you do it for 2 weeks,
yeah,
eventually it gets a little old, And like I said, I love my parents. I'm really trying to not complain.
No, I understand that, and I've been in situations like that with family, or not even just family though. Because once again, this is not fully a reflection on their age. It's more just a reflection on that feeling, that necessity to take care of people and being on and them
right.
being on vacation. But sort of that sense of like where it's like you go into it being like, all right, I recognize we're on vacation for one. They're especially on vacation, not just me. They're especially on vacation. Right. Me being you is what I mean.
Yeah.
It's Christmas time. You don't want to argue. You don't want to bicker about stuff. You want to be helpful because you want your parents to have a good time. And so, like, I've gone into a lot of situations like that where it's like, all right, yeah, like I know that there are certain things that this person's gonna do might sometimes bother me, but like I'm on vacation and I want them to have a good time, and it's not, all these things aren't a big enough deal to actually worry about. So just let it go and just be helpful. And those are always things where it's like, oh, that's way easier said than done. Whereas like there's so many instances where I've gone and where it's like, just don't be you right now, and be helpful and just be friendly and like it's a short amount of time. But once you start hitting 2 weeks, it can get tough.
Well, and the other thing is like we went to go exchange our train tickets because we were leaving at a later date, and my mom's like, "Can you go up to the counter and talk to him?" And I'm like, "What do you like?" I can, sure, and I did, but it's like you've booked tons of trips before I ever came to Europe,
right?
And I don't mind helping them, but it's like the fact that they ask me to do things a lot that I know that they can do and they would have no problem doing.
Right.
Yeah,
I totally understand that.
Right. And so it's been great being able to spend time with them, but I think just the small necessities of travel, we're booking stuff, and my mom likes to really be on top of things, and she'll ask me billions of questions, and half of them I don't know the answers to. like we booked a train back from Vienna to to Prague, and it was a train I had never been on. And she asked me like 20 questions about the train, and I'm like, Mom, I have no idea, and I have been telling you I don't know the last 10 questions. Why do you think the next other 10 are going to be any different when I've never been on this train? Like she said, well, will we store our luggage over like on top? Will there be like a separate, like a little luggage like rack? And I'm like, Mom, I've never been on this train. I don't know. And then she was like, so do you think we'll have to put like our luggage in one spot and our other? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. And just the amount of times while they've been here that I have had to tell them I don't know.
Right.
It draws on your sanity a little bit. And it makes me feel really stupid too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. Where it's like, one, I don't know. And two, the fact that I don't know is fine. Like it's okay. But yeah, oh man, I've so been there. Like I don't even I've so been there, and it's a test of patience, and I think it's also just a reflection on that weird stage we're in, where it's like our parents are still have this urge to be our parents, but also we're getting to the age where we have to like take control of things, you know, and like be adult. Like we're adults now, so we have to do adult shit where you can't just give everything to your parents and be like, well, they got it. And it's just the weird between stage, and it can definitely be rough.
It's kind of like that weird between the year stage, you know?
I would, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's that part of the quarter life crisis, I guess they call it.
Right.
I hate using that, by the way. I would never recommend a 2-week vacation within my own family. That sounds like too much. It just sounds like way too much. This is a different situation that you're in because of you living there. But if I was just going on like a vacation, 2 weeks is a long time. I was, when I was in Tanzania, which was my last sort of big vacation I went on, which was a long time ago now, like over a year ago. But it was about a week and a half, and it was a little less. I mean, it was a little less stressful in that sense that you talked about because we all knew that no one knew anything. What are my parents going to ask me? It's like, I don't know. we're in Mbaya, Tanzania. I don't know. It's always going to be the answer. But there is still that sort of like parenting thing that gets kind of old. Where it's like I understand where it reverted a little too much. Where it's like, oh, dude, how's this or what's that and it's just like it's okay. You don't have to concern yourself this much. Like it's okay.
Right.
I can.
And it's been great, and I've been really
at the same time. I guess. I don't
know. Oh, for sure. It's been great, and I'm happy that I've been able to show my parents around, especially the Czech Republic where they've never been, which has been really awesome. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's just all the questions. And there have been quite a few times, too, where I've told either of my parents something, and then 10 minutes later, they ask me maybe not the same question, but a question along the same vein. And I'm like, I've given you the answer to this. Why are you asking me that? It's basically the same question worded in a different way, you know?
Right.
And like, I just kind of want to tell them like, it's all good. I will take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Question.
Does that work?
I get why they ask questions.
I feel that way too sometimes.
Of course it doesn't.
But then when you do that, it does. Like I've tried that too, but I think usually when I try that, it's out of frustration. So maybe it comes off more like patronizing or something like that.
And condescending, for sure.
Yeah. Where it's like, just shut up and let me do it, sort of kind of comes off. Or maybe I don't say it that directly, but that's kind of what I'm thinking, where it's like, just let me do it. And it's like, don't worry. But all you really want to say is like, don't worry about it. Like I can guarantee you that we'll be fine. Like I don't know the answer, but I know that we'll be fine. But does that work?
Right.
I don't think that works.
Probably not.
That's not. I feel like that doesn't really fit with human nature.
Probably not. But it's been a great time, and we've been able to enjoy Christmas together, and we'll have New Year's. I'm sure my parents will only last until like 10 or 11 o'clock, and then I might go
wake them up at 11:58.
Right. That's right.
Where do you say you might go?
And there
where?
should be fireworks here. I might go to a bar. I think there's only a couple bars here that will even be open. But yeah, so that should be fun. A couple of my students might be there, so that'll be interesting. So I gotta behave,
Lay low.
That's right.
I don't really have any New Year's plans, but there's no New Year's celebration that I've been to that's been completely what I've wanted. And not to say I'm not bougie, I'm not high maintenance.
Right.
But it like New Year's is definitely one of the most overrated days of the year, or New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
I guess.
I agree.
I've done one of my favorites that I've done, and I've done this 2 or 3 times. I think 2 times. Is my sister has a friend that lives in State College, and which is where Penn State is, and so it's about 3 hours from me. And her parents are super rich, and so they have this. I guess you call it a mansion. It's not full on mansion, but it's definitely not a small house. Like it's a substantial house.
Okay.
And the parents are never there because they have like 4 houses. And so it's
Must
just
be nice.
so it's just a bunch of my sister's friends and me. And all my sister, or not all, but some of my sister's friends are great cooks, so there's always amazing food. Like one year there were dumplings, and that were insane. And then they had like this pulled pork, like tacos. That there was sort of a buffet situation that was great a year before that. So the food's always killer. The people are nice, but there is always kind of the sense that like not that they have a problem with me being there, but that I don't belong. Where it's like these are not my friends.
Okay.
It's like I'm always just like Brittany's brother here. And it's just like, I mean, it's nice and it's a good time and it's nice to chill, but like I'm not really partying like I actually would if I were with people I'm familiar with. I've also done the bar. It's terrible.
Not ideal.
It's
not
terrible.
Ideal.
And my stupid friend Don promised me. He's like, "Oh no, we I know this place. We got a table, so we'll definitely have a place to sit down." Walked in there, immediately didn't have a place to sit down. My favorite part of that New Year's was all the parts leading up to it, where we went out to this nice dinner, and then we had like a pregame at a friend's house. And once again, these are Don's friends, so they were closer to my friends because some of them were from college, but still weren't really my friends.
Right.
So I don't know what I'm. And then I went to a party around the corner last year at one of my friends' houses, which was kind of nice because it was so close. But so I don't really have any New Year's plans. And I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but there's also our New Year's we spent together in Chicago.
That was a wild
with one of my cousins.
I was gonna ask you where that one ranked.
Well,
I was just curious.
I mean, to be honest with you, it was probably one of the best because it was just you and I hanging out. For those of you guys, I'll keep it vague, but my cousin was also with us. He got a little too intoxicated. And it was me, Chad, and my cousin.
What is this?
It was me, Chad, and my cousin. And we were going in a taxi going to a bar, and which would have been just as packed as all those other bars. It was definitely would have been a packed concoction. So for all I know, it's probably a blessing in disguise for me. But my cousin threw up in a taxi, and the taxi driver was not pleased for obvious reasons.
I could not believe though the highlight of that though was Jared's response. Do you remember what she said to the cab driver?
Yeah, I do. Which I regret.
I was trying so hard not to laugh. I was trying so hard not to laugh, and Jared goes.
So me and my cousin were sitting in the back seat, and you were in the front seat.
And you tried to convince me to sit in the back seat in between you guys.
Yeah. Oh,
and
man.
Hindsight, I'm so glad I didn't.
wish you did. You would have taken some of that spillover.
I would have taken all the heat, dude. All of it. Oh, God.
It even hit the taxi driver, by the way, on the back. Anyway, so what I said was, so the taxi driver was driving down the street as this happened, and it was a rough drive. I mean, we were in Chicago. My mom lived in Chicago at the time.
It was like a blizzard.
And it was snowing out, and we were in a Prius taxi that was... This dude clearly was a professional because he was not going slow. I wasn't about to throw up, but it was definitely making me a little dizzy. I'm like, all right, bro, like, relax.
Right.
It's like a little dizzy / uneasy. And I just looked over at my cousin. He had that, I mean, anyone that's been around drunk people before has seen this look. I mean, I mentioned the look when I was on the road again in Ann Arbor. I saw it on that guy that was shotgunning beers from across the street in a car. I was like, that guy's about to throw up. And my cousin had that exact look, that I'm about to throw up look. And he threw up in the taxi. There was nothing we can do about it. We were on Lakeshore Drive, which is a major Chicago street. You can't just pull over. And we went back, and and Chris was both embarrassed and pretty intoxicated, and he went to bed, and Chad and I just hung out at my mom's place and had I had a lot of fun with you, buddy. That was a great night.
It was.
And
But
we
you
just
forgot
drank
to
and
mention.
hung out and
you
chilled.
forgot to mention what you said to the
I
cab
did,
driver.
yeah. So what I
let me tell.
I totally
let me tell
forgot.
this. Let me tell this from my perspective. So I'm sitting in the passenger seat next to the cab driver, and I hear something in the back, and I look over, and yeah, Chris just had that look on his face like game over.
Right.
And then he just projectiled all over the cab, and I remember the cab driver going, "What is this? What is this?" and Jared goes, and I was trying so hard not to laugh after he puked initially because it was just such a crazy situation.
Right. I think it was more of like a nervous laugh.
Right.
Like,
but
oh
then,
God,
but then the
what's
guy
about to
asks,
happen?
"What is this?" And Jared goes, "Have you seen Pulp Fiction?" And the guy's like, "Yes." And
The fact
you
that
were
he
like,
said yes is hilarious, though. But that in
Right.
itself is hilarious.
"What if he would have said no? What would you have even
Dude,
said?"
I don't know. I was drunk too, just not that drunk.
Right,
But-
right. But he was. But anyway, so he was like, "Yes, I've seen Pulp Fiction." And Jared was like, "It's like that. It's like the car scene, but instead of blood, it's puke."
And I think
Oh, man.
I think that worked as far as explaining it because he did not. He seemed like shocked almost when I said that.
Right.
I think it worked, but I mean, worked in explaining a terrible situation. But that might have been one of my favorite, most memorable, and the best probably way that I'd like to. My ideal way to spend it would be at home, at a house party. Excuse me, but with my friends. All the house
Oh, I
parties
agree.
I've been to for New Year's have been friends of friends parties. Or parties, but it's never been like my friends. It's always been like
Bro,
that person's
one day we gotta
friends.
throw our own New Year's house party.
Yeah, we're always
And
all over the
invite-
place, though. That's the thing.
That's true. Makes it more difficult.
That would be
That's
great,
true.
though. That would be a lot of fun.
It would be.
Our
It would be
college
a
buddies.
blast. But yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, I'm kind of excited though to see what New Year's this year has in store because I don't really have any expectations. I feel like whenever you go into anything with low expectations or no expectations, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, yeah. Can you say that about a whole year? You're gonna have a good time.
I'm definitely gonna have expectations and goals for this new year, but not for New Year's Eve at least.
you wanna-
We'll just see
Do you want to share some of those expectations and goals?
for 2019?
Yeah. I'll start by saying this, and then we'll get to that. First of all, 2020 seems like a big deal in comparison. Like that seems kind of like a big
That's
deal to
true.
me for some reason. Bigger deal than 2010 was. And then also every year that precedes feels like more like Y2K than the actual year 2000
Right,
did.
that's fair. Bro, can we bring back the Roaring 20s?
I'm gonna pass. Hard pass for the black guy on the podcast.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, I didn't even think about that. Shit, you're right. Okay, can we?
I'd love to go back to
create
sharecropping.
a
That sounds
woke-
like a great
Can we create a woke, updated version of the Roaring 20s?
Well, we could, but I mean that almost feels like what we're in right now to a certain extent. I mean, socially,
Okay.
it's not as good, but I think we're in a Roaring 20 in the sense that, listen, this is not Planet Money, but as far as our life cycle of economies goes, both with real estate and with I think just like the strength of our economy is at a bursting point, and usually as economic cycles go, we're overdue for a recession and or depression. So careful
Right.
what you wish for, Chad, because
That's true. That's
we're
true.
due for a good 1928 style Roaring 20s.
Oh God. Let's hope not. Anyways, let's get to these goals and expectations.
Yeah.
So one of my very obvious goals, or I would think would be obvious for you and our listeners out there, is obviously improve my Czech to the point where I can have a very basic conversation. It's slowly getting there, and actually I've been flexing my Czech skills since my parents got here, so that's been kind of fun.
Have they've taken note?
Oh yeah,
That
my
feel
parents.
good for other people to appreciate it? Because David would
Oh,
appreciate it
yeah.
because he's better than you, according to you. I don't know.
Right. I would say he's definitely better.
Okay.
He also, as I said, spends more time on it. But anyways, well, like there have been a lot of times where I've translated some random phrases or words and also like helped them out order stuff or whatever. And so that has kind of, I guess, shown a small light into my slowly improving Czech skills, But yeah, so that's my first goal is just to improve my Czech to the point where I can have basic conversations.
Makes sense.
Hezký kluk.
Exactly. And then, here, that's one of mine. What's one of yours? This podcast ain't all about me.
Well, my goal is to, one, do a Europe trip in 2018, 19.
In 2019.
That would be a goal. And I would like to, ideally, and this goes back to Chad being a terrible planner, I would like to plan it around, basing myself in Kumatov with you, and then maybe you and I could go to a couple places and hang out. Because I think
That'd be sweet.
That kind of ties into one of my other ones, which would be constantly improving the podcast. Like that's an ongoing thing, but like I don't know. I think we're good, and it's incremental. For example, have you guys noticed that there's no longer any squeaking? That's right. I got a different chair.
Oh, nice.
It's these small little things.
Nice.
Hezký kluk.
I think a big one for me is to do the Europe trip, and I've talked about a lot often on the podcast that since I've been back from Germany and other than studying abroad, I haven't gone abroad until I recently went to Tanzania, and it's just like which was 10 years later, and so what I was getting is just I really have to make the financial and time investment to do it
sure.
because it's going to be taxing on both my available vacation time, and I get pretty good vacation, and it's going to be taxing on my bank account. But I think that like in my head I'm constantly saving for it, and it's like you just got to freaking do it at some point because like you can say I could save forever and never be in the right place where I'm ready to drop say $1,000. Like I'll never be ready to drop $1,000. But I think it's easy to do if you meaning me just prioritize it, and I'm going to
exactly. And how many times will you have a free place to stay for as long as you want?
You being there is obviously a big helping should be a big helping factor because one, I'll have a place to stay there, and two, it'll be cheaper if we travel to say Berlin or Vienna or something.
Right,
it'll be cheaper to find a place there because we can split it.
And there's some great places around here as well. I'm just trying to make this more attractive so you get over here.
Yeah, this is turning into a trip preparation.
Right.
How long? When do you officially? When's your official end of your
July,
time there?
beginning of July.
But you're going to spend a couple of weeks there after that?
Well, we'll see. I'm thinking maybe not because my income won't be coming in anymore.
So at least for my own sake, plan a trip before July if I want to do that. Exactly.
But who knows? We'll see. I'll talk to you more about it in a few months when I have a better idea of my finances and everything. But because all the money we get from our podcast, we invest back into the podcast.
But that's what you're saying right now, though. We'll talk in a few months, but I need to buy a ticket now for the flight in a few months. We'll talk off air, though. But that is a legitimate goal, and we've talked about it. But I think it would be it is so exciting for us to have a podcast face to face. I think I think that energy would be a lot of fun. And then
I'm just gonna have to move to Philly. Is what's gonna happen.
That would be awesome. And
that'd be pretty sweet.
I think we could fit two people in my Harry Potter closet.
We can sit cross-legged on the floor if we have to.
Although I did just burn myself on a lamp trying to move around in here before we started recording. So be careful.
Right.
So what else? Do you have anything else?
Yeah, absolutely. My other one, and this one, it's hard to put a time stamp on it, but my other goal is to find some type of employment in the near future. I'm going to be applying to schools and universities all over the United States, in Europe, all over the place, because I have no idea where life is going to take me. And my goal is to just try to weigh my options and pick. Ideally, I would like to think of myself as like a free agent for a sports team. And I get all these offers and I pick the best one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It may not, end up that way, but at least a man can dream, So that's another goal of mine is to find a job or find some type of employment And y'all have heard it here first. I've also been toying with the idea of opening up an online teaching business.
Ooh. Bring some more listeners our way, baby.
That's right.
That's all I care about.
That's
That's a big deal in your own personal career. I'm like, yeah, bring those listeners over.
Right. That's right.
That would
Link
be
up
really
all
cool.
the accounts. It would be.
Have you actually thought about what goes into that thing? I mean,
I have.
Obviously, you've thought about what goes into it, but like what you
I'm
would
not
have
going
to
to
put
share
into
too
it?
much on it on the air because I don't want to give too much away because there are some things in the works. But I mean, there's just a lot of stuff I'm going to have to learn. Right. I'm going to have to learn in terms of the technological side of things.
Well,
And I could hire somebody, but I would rather try to figure out all this stuff myself.
I understand that. I mean, as someone that does all the editing and stuff for this podcast, I understand the want and to do it on your own, and it gives you that sort of extra little bit of creativity that I think is missed when you just hire it out, and I think that doesn't go unnoticed.
Oh, for sure. And I will say this. I think this is a lofty goal and maybe not even a goal for 2019.
And I can help you too, by the way. Just so you know.
Right. Oh, for sure. For sure. The other goal I have within maybe even not 2019, but 2020, 2022, who knows, is eventually I would like to learn enough about doing stuff, online where I have a lot more financial freedom and also geographic freedom.
Dude, that's such a and that's such a big investment, not just financially, but also intellectually and like you have to teach yourself so much.
Oh, for
and
sure.
You have to, and it takes, but it's this. There are so many small steps that can really set you up to just have a simpler, older life. Like for example, I have a 401k, and that's the bare minimum. I don't pay little attention to it.
Right. And I don't even have that yet.
Yeah.
And I want to get that stuff because I don't want to work until I'm in my mid 70s and
well, and the numbers and the way compound interest works, the numbers between starting a 401k at say 23 like I did or 22 like I did versus 20 or versus 33, for example.
Right.
That's
it's a huge difference.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Or maybe tens of thousands, but it's a lot of money. Like just it can really it's just all about time is more than anything. But you can also be way more proactive than that as far as investing goes. My dad is an investor and he's good at investing. And I want to ask him for advice and I've kind of half-assed asked him for advice. But the thing about it is I think what I want more than advice is for him to be my own personal financial planner and just invest it for me because even me asking for advice, it still requires so much learning and effort out of my own time, and I think that's the problem.
But that leads that leads to another goal of mine, and I'm sure it's a goal of yours as well, is just to learn a lot more in 2019. I feel like you and I both, we've learned a lot through this podcast, through, for you piano, for me guitar. There's a lot we've been learning. And I just hope we continue to learn a lot more every day. I know it sounds cheesy, I know it sounds corny, but it's true. I would love to be 30 in a few years and have people be like, he's a smart guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because no one's saying that now.
Not yet. We're getting there slowly.
But I know what you mean, and I've never really thought about it that way. But over the past, maybe it's not a year by year thing, but I would like it to be. But I've sort of had big things that I'm proud of each year. Like as you said, piano. I'm proud of this, and these are within different years. I started these in different years, but I like the idea of sort of acquiring some sort of new skill or some sort of new hobby every year, and maybe not every year, but at least if I'm not going to acquire something new every year, having something that I can show for that I'm proud of with this, and I'm not going to say or because I'd rather it be and piano, that I can be like, wow, it's crazy to think that just a year ago I was only playing this or we only had this many listeners and now look at us. That is something that that I'm really focusing on. And as I've mentioned earlier, this stuff is not really about like New Year's gives us a chance to reflect on this stuff, but this is stuff that should be consistent throughout the year. And I think that
I agree.
The only reason I say that is because I think that we've been all this podcast stuff that I say I want to do. I think we've started on that, but I think it's more continuing the consistency. I'm proud that we've never skipped an episode. That's kind of impressive. You know, we listen to all these podcasts, but in Zwischen, Jahren taking off. We don't take off. Hashtag no days off, baby.
Hashtag grinding our day. That's right.
And so, like,
we do it for you people.
I think that there's something to that consistency. And I think even more than seeing the growth immediately in whatever it is, whether it's the piano or not, I think there is something to just the consistency and doing something longer and better than other people. I think that's a lot of success. And people lose track of that, especially in this millennial social media age we live in.
Well, I think the other thing is we have such short attention spans because everything's just right at our fingertips. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the last thing that I want to mention about like hopefully coming into the new year is, oh shoot, I'm starting to lose my train of thought. Crap.
Consistency.
Thank you. Yeah.
Growth. Adding something new.
Keep going.
To hobbies, learning, educating oneself.
I lost it. Must have not been that good of an idea, I guess, if I lost it
also, one
like
thing
that.
I've always talked about, and this is not even on my list or anything, just came to my head. For years and years and years, meaning like a year or two, I've been saying that I want to do yoga and or meditate. And I think... well, I don't think. I'm someone that spends, I'd say, and I wish I was exaggerating, 90% of my awake time either with headphones in or listening to something. Not rarely even watching stuff. I mean, unless it's a podcast, but that means I'm doing something else in the background.
Right.
But like, I spend so much of my time with headphones on or just listening to something. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that, really. I learn a lot. I love that. I love listening to podcasts all day. I don't even have a problem with that. But I think there is something for allowing myself, even if it's just like 10 minutes before I go to bed or 10 minutes when I wake up, to just sit there in silence. And whether it's while I'm stretching or while I'm just sitting there not doing anything, just to like clear my mind, because I literally fall asleep to podcast on sleep with a sleep timer. So like there's no silence ever.
Right. I remember my thought now. The other thing that I would like to continue to do and improve on even more in 2019 is getting out of my comfort zone. You know,
you're good at that.
I gotta be honest with you. Well, you know, man, I think I make it look on the outside. I think I make it look easier than it is for me mentally. Like I've been so fortunate and so lucky, and I'll even say it. I feel like I've been in a lot of ways really blessed. Whether or not, you know,
praise the
it's
Lord,
Jesus Christ or whatever it is. I'm just very fortunate and I'm very lucky. You know, obviously I've worked hard for these things as well, but moving to the Czech Republic, going to a place where I don't know anybody, I don't really know the language at all. You know, it really has made me think a lot differently about myself. It's made me mature a lot more. And I want to continue to try to push the envelope and go even more out of my comfort zone. In a couple of ways, I want to hit the gym even harder. I want to learn a lot more music on guitar and hopefully start performing places again. After I sent you all those pictures of me at my senior recital, it made me think like, man, I really miss playing music for people. Like just seeing the joy that your music can bring to other people. And some of that I think is because it's just easier for me to sit on my couch here in my apartment and play guitar for hours. And it doesn't really matter. You know, if I make a mistake, who cares, right?
Right. You're not actually, you're keeping it up. You're not losing it per se, but you're not actually sharpening any talent or anything.
Exactly.
You're just playing stuff you know. You're not challenging yourself. I assume is what you're saying. I don't know. Is that what you're saying?
No, I would agree.
Okay.
And I have to say, I hope not only you and I will have a good 2019 and we'll continue to go out of our comfort zone, improve our podcast, improve ourselves. I really hope that all of our listeners out there do as well. And I hope obviously some of that comes from listening to our podcast and enjoying it. But also, you know, taking time to do things that they want and try new things. I think you can't get out of your comfort zone unless you try new things, whether that be a different food or for me, maybe I need to try to cook more. That would really put me out of my comfort zone.
Dude,
you know,
when I come to visit you, let's mark that on the calendar. We'll do a podcast about cooking abroad.
Sounds good.
And we'll cook something.
Sweet.
We'll go to the grocery store, buy groceries, and
for
cook
it.
something. That would be fun.
Right. And another thing, too, about going out of your comfort zone is, as I mentioned, listening to new music. And I got to tell you, man, you have given me some great new music through this podcast.
Right back at you, dude.
And let's talk about our song of the pod for today.
Yeah, so this one's a lot of fun. So this one is... Oh, just kicked my freaking... I forgot I was in a different chair. I almost just knocked my beer over, kicking my desk. Anyway, so this song is by I guess I'm going to call him boy.
Yep.
Named Joey Alexander. And it's called City Lights. He's Indonesian. He was born in Bali, but raised in... Well, I'll say this. Born in 2003 in Bali, so that makes him 15, going on 16 sometime within the next couple months, I'd assume. And he was born in Bali in 2003, but he lived in Jakarta from age 8 to 10. And then in New York City, he moved to New York City. This dude has more of a bio than me, and he's more than 10 years younger than me.
Right.
And before we even get into the song, at the age of 14, this dude had already had 2 Grammy-nominated studio albums.
I just can't even... That boggles my mind on so many levels.
So Joey Alexander is a jazz pianist, as I said. And, we were talking about the song before we started recording, and I was trying to figure out how I wanted to explain him. Because it's not that he's stiff, and it's not that he is... It's not that he's not like you can't feel the artistry. What it is,
right.
and what it is I figured out because this is also something I want to apply to my 2019. And it's the complete opposite of what my break has been, is its discipline. I think that's what it is you can see the discipline in his play, which is crazy when you're talking about back in the day, Mozart and Beethoven were virtuosos by the time they were 12. But like in reality, in our current society, you don't really see that much anymore.
Right.
And it was interesting just me noticing the discipline. And that's what I think. I think you could just tell that, especially in someone like me that like takes lessons, and I hear my piano teacher harping on me to make sure my posture's right and make sure that your fingers your fingers are consistent and saying perfectly. And I paid close attention to that stuff because I was impressed, and I'm like, man, this kid's so young. How does he? Like, how is he so...
kills it.
And it's jazzy, too. And it's not... And that's why I was nervous to say, like, any of these comments that commented on on stiffness, because it's jazz.
It's not stiff.
No.
To me, the musicality of it's not stiff. But I know what you mean. It's
disciplined.
very... Yeah, I'd say discipline is a great
more
adjective
disciplined than
to
what you
describe
think for, like, some sort of your standard improvisational jazz artist.
Right.
This is no... Who's that guy with the trumpet? Not the trumpet. Yeah, with the trumpet.
You're talking about the
Bitches
Brew, Miles
Brew.
Davis.
Yes, he's
Miles Davis.
It's not Miles Davis-esque in that way. Like the scene, and once again, not to take away from Miles Davis. He's a legend. I can't take shit away from him.
Right.
But like it's not that sort of Miles Davis-y sort of just going with the flow you kind of get from Miles Davis more, I think.
Right.
But it's just discipline, and I like it, and it's good too. He's great. I listen to a bunch of his songs.
Fantastic.
And his studio is like, I assume those are just standard sort of like studio artists. What do you call them?
Session musicians.
Session musicians. I think, and I almost hesitate to say standard session musicians because I watched a documentary a while ago. Session musicians are some of the most underrated musicians out there.
Oh,
One,
for sure.
They're adapted to play multiple genres. 2, like they've like I don't know. I just watched a documentary recently about this all the famous session musicians that have like there's like 5 that have written songs for some of those people that we call the people we call legends today, and done all the backup and it's just and the cellist or excuse me double bass guy in this song.
Yep.
He was very animated.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I love watching this video and watching the bass player.
He's staring
all the
down
faces he's
Joey
making.
Alexander.
And he's smiling. They're having a great time.
It seems like there was even. I mean, this is a studio recording, so you assume it's very professional. But just by the looks in their faces, I assume you're looking at it. It seems like there was.
You know I'm watching it right now.
It seems like there was some sort of improvisation that was unexpected, just by the looks in their faces.
I mean, that's the beauty of jazz. I mean, what he did, what I'm assuming, is he played the melody, or what they call in jazz music, the head, right? And then after that, like, I love the part where the bass player starts going into it's eighth notes, right? Yeah, eighth notes, right? Where the bass is do, 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 you know. It's,
okay.
And because it really opens it up. It starts off like a little bit more of a slower tempo, and then the bass kicks in with the straight eighth notes. I think it's eighth notes, right?
I don't remember. I'm not listening to it right this second. Are you listening to it?
Maybe
as
it's
you
quarter
talk?
notes.
Don't you usually do that?
I always do. Yeah. But anyways, it doesn't really matter anyways. But it's a great tune. And yeah, I mean, this Joey Alexander kid, he just kills it.
Yeah.
His playing, his maturity level in terms of a musician is off the charts. I mean, I have some friends who are some really big like jazz nerds. I could play this piece for them and be like, how old do you think each musician is? Right. And I guarantee you they would not peg Joey Alexander anywhere near his actual age.
No,
also, I don't know if you
very
mentioned
clean,
it.
Very clean playing.
Right. And I don't know if you mentioned it, but the song is called City Lights by
I did
Joey
briefly,
Alexander.
but I did, yeah. But it was brief.
Yeah, check it out. And we hope to bring some
Grammy-nominated
jazz.
15-year-old.
Right. So there's some inspiration for you to start off your 2019.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, I have a special Czech word of the pod or phrase of the pod, and it is Šťastný Nový rok. Any idea what that means, Jared?
So Stasi,
Šťastný.
when you say that, I'm going to guess that it means you're almost granting someone something. Or like you're saying like, what does it mean? Just tell me what it means because I don't know.
Means Happy New Year.
Oh, well, there you go. So Stasi, happy? Stasi. When I say it like that, it sounds like...
Šťastný. Šťastný.
Oh, Šťastný. Okay, it's like Stasi. When I say it like that, it sounds a little...
Right. But yeah, Novi obviously is new and Rok is year. And Šťastný...
Isn't that like happy?
I would assume it's happy, but here... happy.
Okay.
Happy.
Huh. Well, Jared...
Mluvite anglicky.
Shit.
Hezký kluk.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I feel like I'm losing. Like I don't know how this is happening, but I feel like I'm getting worse with these drops as time goes on.
You just got to get yourself a legit mix board eventually.
I have one actually where it'll actually label. It's just transferring it over, and the problem is
That's true.
I'm going to say this real quick. This is going to be my goal for 2019, and not only transferring all the files over because I have them, but the files have to be in a different format. So I have to move them into my iTunes instead of just doing it the way I do now, where I text raw files to them. It's a long...
Right.
It's a long...
Right. Anyways, I got a couple jokes for you.
Ease my stress, Chad.
I will.
Please.
I got an original one for you. We'll see how this goes.
Oh, hell yeah.
How do you know when a dad is looking forward to New Year's?
I don't know. How can you?
When he sees you on December 31st and tells you, "See you next year."
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
How do you feel about those people who do that when they're like, "See you next year"?
My dad did that to me. I haven't seen him in 14 years. I find those jokes so stupid. I feel like I die a little bit inside every time I give them that obligatory laugh that they're looking for.
That's fair.
I work with a lot of older white dudes, and so I hear dad jokes pretty regularly, and I don't know why I have to bring race into it. It's more of just an old person thing, but it honestly just feel like, do I have to laugh at this? Like, because I'm at work, you know? It's just like, fine, I'll give you this laugh.
You kind of have to, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, do you think this is funny? It's like, are you going home and watching a TV show that has this joke in it?
They probably do. Where do you think they got it from?
Who greenlit this show to be on television?
Right, exactly. All right, I got two more for you, Jared.
Okay.
What do you call a person who is always wanting a date for a New Year's Eve party?
Chad? From the Untranslatable Podcast?
You're not wrong. But you would call these people Social Security.
Social Security.
Right? You get it? I feel
That's
like
actually
not
a
too bad.
great term. Dude, and not to take away from your joke, but you can make a real joke around the term Social Security. There are those people that always have to, I mean, you're kind of one of them, actually. That's always, I mean, you're a little, not specifically what you were getting at, but it's like always in sort of the relationship thing. And I think some of that might come out of just like the comfort of it, you know? There is something comfortable to be in having that Social Security.
Right.
Feeling this that little bit of validation, you know? A little burst of validation.
Sure. All right, I got one more
That's
for
why we
you,
do a
Jared.
podcast.
Exactly.
Tell
I
us
got
you
one
love
more
us.
for you.
Okay, let's hear it. Are these
Here
all
we go.
originals, by the way?
No.
I
These
was-
last two are
I
not.
was impressed.
Okay. How do you let me start this one over. What is a New Year's resolution?
A lie.
You're not wrong. It's something that goes in one year and out the other.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
Like,
And
I gotta be honest, I'm not looking forward to going to the gym in a couple first weeks of January.
right. You're a legitimate gym goer. You've
Yep.
been going for years. But
Yep.
that's why I downplay like this whole New Year's resolution thing so much, is because there are legitimate there's legitimate proof that a lot of it is BS with all the diet stuff and
Oh, for sure.
and all the once again, I'm sorry. That was also a terrible burp that I just did with all the diet stuff and all the and all like the gym memberships that go up. And and you can just see it if you pay close enough attention to your email or whatever, where it's like, oh, new deals.
Right. Oh, for sure. Most definitely.
Because we know you'll be paying it for 2 years and go once.
Right. Well, Jared, I'm doing something different this episode. I'm going to give you
love
4
it.
quotes about the new year, and I want you to pick which one we should send our listeners off with tonight. So here they are.
Quirky.
So listen closely, Jared. The first one is by T.S. Eliot,
Who dat?
and it is, "For last year's words belong to last year's language, and next year's words await another voice." So that's number 1.
Okay.
Next one is "Celebrate What You Want to See More Of" by Tom Peters. And this one's by C.S. Lewis. "You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream." And the last one is by a writer named Matt Morris. "New year, a new chapter, new verse, or just the same old story. Ultimately, we write it. The choice is yours."
I have an answer already, and the answer is Tom Peters. Shout out to you, Tom Peters. Because I think could you say his quote first before
Absolutely. "Celebrate what you want to see more of."
I think that's the most actionable, podcast, the most actionable quote, and it's one that that I think is a lot of the other ones were very nice quotes, but it's just like new year, new me almost for all the other ones
Right.
I felt. But that
Right.
one was just like, if you like something, then either make it or support the people that do it. And I think that that's a beautiful thing in itself. Support
I
us, by
agree.
the way.
I agree. Very
Take the
nice.
hint, everyone.
you know, I figured it would either be number 1, which was the one about
I like that one too.
Language and Voice by T.S. Eliot,
I like that
or
one
the
too.
Tom Peters one. I figured it would be one or 3. But I agree with you. I think all of us out there, if we want 2019 to be happy and hopefully healthy as well, we got to celebrate what we want to see more of. Couldn't agree more. And hopefully also what you want to hear more of, which is obviously the Untranslatable Podcast, without a doubt. And if you want to hear more, you can obviously find us on Stitcher and iTunes. You can also reach out to us
Spread a
on
little
Twitter.
love.
That's right. You can reach out to us on Twitter, Untranslatable1. Check out our Instagram page. As Jared mentioned, it is always popping, that's for sure. We got some new videos and photos coming your way. So we're looking forward to that. And that is Untranslatable Podcast. Shoot us an email if you have any untranslatables. Let us know what some of your New Year's goals, goals and expectations are. We'd love to hear them. And if we get a couple, maybe we'll share them on the next episode, which would be great. And we really hope you all have a happy and healthy new year, that you've had a wonderful holiday with your friends and your family. Hopefully some of you have been able to relax, maybe even get into that mode where you're unsure what day it is, what time it is. It's always enjoyable for a short period of time, but eventually we do got to get back to work or get back to school. So we thank you all very, very much for all of your support. This was the first year we started with the Untranslatable Podcast, and it's been an amazing journey so far. I got to give a lot of props and thanks to you, Jared, for putting up with my craziness, my unorganized
we're both crazy.
days. And it's been really wonderful, and we are so thankful to be here and really appreciate everybody's support and feedback. And we are looking forward to seeing what will come of us in 2019 with more corny jokes, Czech words, and obviously lots of untranslatables. So we thank you all so much. Have a happy new year, and děkujeme.